Well, good evening, everybody. It's been quite a long time since we've been on here for a live stream. It feels like it's been about a week or so. Haven't had the need to hop on here. Luckily, no severe weather in the state, but we are at our Sunday night live stream time. So we're going to hop on here and give you guys a short, or we should be short, update here in regards to the upcoming week's weather. We're going to talk a little bit about some severe chances potentially for tomorrow and also for Tuesday night into Wednesday. So welcome to the stream, guys. Give me a thumbs up in chat if you can hear me. I also have Joel here. He is, I believe, getting some food right now, but we're working on some stuff behind the scenes here. So he is here with me as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in here. Let's pop out the chat here. We got Fordo, Instant Karma, Iron, Alan, Ashley, Robert, Julie, Dawn. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys in here. So luckily, no severe weather to talk about tonight. So if you guys are on here think we're covering severe, nope. This is just going to be our weekly live stream we do every Sunday to discuss the upcoming week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on in here, starting with our temperatures. So today was going to be on the little bit of the cooler side of things, low 70s here, upper 60s the further north you go toward the lake shores. But as we get into tomorrow, we're going to see a warm up into Tuesday as well. We're going to have likely high 70s, low 80s across the state, unless you're again up in the UP, you're going to be pretty much stuck there in the 70s or so, right around 70 degrees. Into Tuesday as well, we're going to be in the low 80s once again, although Tuesday, the further south you go, has potential to run closer to that mid to upper or 80-degree mark here as we get closer to that Tuesday timeframe. The UP will likely also hit 80 on Tuesday as well. So statewide warm up there, but as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to cool off here just a bit as we have a little bit of a cold front kind of swinging through here. On Wednesday, it's going to cool us down back into the 70s. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday should likely be a little bit cooler as we get into that time frame, roughly in the 70s or so. So we have basically 2 days, tomorrow and Tuesday, a potential warm up here into the 80s for a good majority of the state. And then we kind of dip back down after we get into Wednesday afternoon and evening. You'll feel that cooler temperature and cooler air mass as we get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that is your gist of temperatures. Now we're going to focus on two areas of interest here to watch for potential storms here. First one is going to be tomorrow evening in western Michigan. So what we're going to be watching here is off to our west. We're going to be looking at this complex pushing in. It's going to decay Monday afternoon. It's going to try to re-strengthen here during peak heating, and it's going to try and push across the lake here towards the west side of Michigan. This model says it's not very successful, but there is a shot that it could hold together over the lake there. And if that does happen, the west side of Michigan, we're going to say from roughly Ludington and then all the way south toward the Benton Harbor area. 131 corridor west will have the highest chance of a stronger storm or two occurring roughly after the 7 p.m. time frame. Think about 8, 9, 10 p.m. ish for any type of storm arrival if there's going to be any at all. In fact, the SPC actually does have a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow for these storms off to our west. It does brush Berrien County just a tad, so it does bump into Michigan here. If those storms can hold together, they would likely be strong or perhaps severe for the west side of Michigan there from the Grand Rapids area up toward Ludington, down south toward Kalamazoo. So those areas tomorrow evening, 7, 8, 9 p.m.-ish, should be on alert for potential incoming storms. There's some uncertainty there in terms of overall evolution, if they're going to hold together, if they're going to be strong or severe, if the lake can kill them. There's a lot of uncertainty here, questions to be answered. So don't automatically assume we're going to see some severe weather tomorrow. It's just a chance. Potential is there. Keep an eye on it. We'll keep you guys covered if anything changes. The SPC will update here at 2 a.m. and again at 9 a.m. regarding this potential risk tomorrow. We'll be all over it. We got you guys covered on that term. Then second, and probably the most interesting, is going to be Tuesday evening into Wednesday. Now, the overall upper level pattern here does support what we call MCS development or storm complex development here. But the overall question is, how far is that complex going to get? Now, we're going to be watching off to our west here from Minnesota, Wisconsin area, Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. Okay, we're going to look to a west here, and we're going to see a big old complex develop here. That's going to should, at least with the upper level pattern, develop and push east southeastward towards our state on Tuesday evening. Right now, models do not show this reaching our state, but the potential is there if we have enough instability, which is the main question and biggest uncertainty factor right now, because the models do not really show much in the way of, decent instability to work with. There's a good amount of upper level instability, so to speak. So thunderstorms are likely throughout this time period, but the severe weather may very well stay off to our west. And that's the expectation for right now. But again, that could change very quickly. These MCS systems that we expect to occur on Tuesday evening can be kind of finicky and hard to predict sometimes. So we're not going to lock anything in just yet. We're going to watch it, but the expectation for right now is it to stay off to our west, but we may very well have remnants, perhaps some thunderstorms overnight Tuesday into that Wednesday morning time period, as just our confidence right now is extremely low in that. So after we get past that Wednesday time frame, a little bit cooler air mass fills in behind the system. And then at that point, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday should be on the drier side of things. Just some lingering showers Thursday, potentially Friday, but the chance of that's like, well, we're going to say 20%. So it's not a very high chance, but we could definitely see some showers work behind that Wednesday system for the later half of this week. And then as we get into next week, again, looking at the temperatures, the first look at temperatures kind of indicates right around average, upper 70s, low 80s into the weekend, and as we start the next week time period. So recapping that, tomorrow and Tuesday, warm up here into the 80s, potentially mid to upper 80s. The further south you are, we cool down for the end of Wednesday into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday into the upper 70s. And then rain chances, potential severe weather tomorrow in West Michigan, potential stronger storms if they can hold together. And then again, another time for them to watch here Tuesday night, overnight into Wednesday morning. Look to the west here for that developing complex that we would expect to form out to our west. All right. With that being said, the extended period, we shared this on our page this morning, but the 8 to 14 day outlook, whoopsies, we do not live in Alaska. The 8 to 14 day outlook here does show a large portion of the US in a, below average contour for temperatures. Now, average for this time of year is roughly the mid 70s. It really depends if you're at the UP, it's a little bit lower, but down here toward Flint and Detroit and Grand Rapids, those areas, it's going to be in the mid 70s for the June 1st, the first half of June, should I say. So this forecast here is valid June 10th to June 16th. And it shows a pretty big chunk of the United States here in a below average contour. What does that mean? Basically just means expect a little bit cooler than average temperatures here. I know we're in June now, expect that heat, but just not yet. Pump the brakes on the heat. We're not looking at, a major warm up just yet, but mid to upper 70s do look to be the norm here. Potentially a little bit lower for like a day or two in there. I saw a day or two for the start of next week that could be in the 60s or so. Again, we're still a week out from that, so that could change. But for right now, expect at the very least on the cooler side of temperatures, mid to upper 70s would be the normal throughout this time period in the first half of June. As far as precipitation goes, our precipitation chances do show near normal to roughly below average. Why can't I click on that? Hold on. There we go. So I guess updated. Okay. Well, updated. So we're going to be in the near normal chances here for precipitation across Michigan. That could basically just means expect your average precipitation here. I don't know the exact number offhand for the average precip for June for us here in Michigan, but it should be on par with what is average and what's expected for this time of year. All right. With that being said, I believe I covered everything here. Joel, do you have anything else you want to add to this? Thank you, Red Dozer, for that donation of $20. We appreciate your super chat.
Appreciate it, Red Dozer. I'm just over here having my snack.
Yeah, I'm about to eat myself once we're off here.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, it's pretty straightforward forecast. We've got 2 days or 2 areas of interest to watch, like I said, tomorrow evening. And again, on Tuesday evening, overnight into Wednesday morning, watch those 2 time periods. A little warmer temperatures tomorrow and Tuesday. Then we cool back off to around normal here for the last half of the week. For Wednesday, is the severe threat still kind of unknown? Yeah, Matthew. So I will mention this. If the system does happen to slow down a lot, We could very well see redevelopment in the state on Wednesday, although confidence in that happening right now, I would say, is extremely low. So we're not going to really get into too much detail there. But if this system does slow down, we could very well see a risk develop on Wednesday as well, as we get a little bit different air mass kind of filling in there. It didn't look like a cold front. It looked more like a short wave trying to push through. Um, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and just kind of see how that lines up in terms of overall timing. The CSU learning system has Michigan in the red for the CSU learning model goes out 8 days. So if you're seeing that on the CSU, I do not know what that is for.
I think it's the it could be the other one, that 3 week. I think you might be thinking of the CFS version 2.
Oh, SIPs analogs.
No, CFS V2, the 3 week thing.
Oh, supercell parameter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably what it is. So, Brad, what you're likely seeing there is just a model being taken and then spitting out an average of parameter spaces across the U.S. It could very well mean something for an active pattern setting up. It could, but being 3 weeks away on the CFS model, if that's the case, I'm not going to pay too much attention to that just yet. When we get into that 1 to 2 week time frame, we start seeing, hey, there's a system being shown repetitively on the models, 10, 12 days out. We'll acknowledge it at that point. But until that point, we're just kind of speculating here off parameter spaces at what we call fantasy land. Anything longer than about a week to 10 days out, we call it fantasy land on models.
Did you go over the slim for Tuesday night, or do you want me to explain that really quick?
You can if you want to. I did not go over that.
Perfect. So SLIM, as you know, the acronyms is shear lift, instability, moisture, kind of the 4 main ingredients we need for severe weather, among other micro scale factors, but those are the top 4 that we usually look at. And we have ample instability, probably the highest thing that we saw in there compared to what we had with our last severe weather setup, where it was the thing that we were lacking the most. Plenty of lift. We do have that MCV that's supposed to come through, and then again, redevelopment behind it on Monday night. So Monday night and then Tuesday. And then we also have, what one am I missing? We have a lot of moisture. Dews could be up in towards the 70s here on tomorrow and on Tuesday. So we will have a lot of that. The big question mark will be our shear. And that's what we would look for damaging winds and potentially some spin up tornadoes. But again, at this moment, our shear in our model runs has been lacking. And that's kind of been the case over the past couple days now. So we have 3 or 4, I would say. That's all I had to say about that.
You make a graphic for slims to make it easier for people to understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. A shear, by the way, is your gusty winds and change in winds over different latitudes of the atmosphere.
What time will the rainstorms move out Wednesday? Expected by evening. Again, depending on heavily on the timing of this, we could very well see some scattered showers and storms afternoon Wednesday if it slows down enough. But expect there to be an exit of precip by the time sunset reaches on Wednesday at this point. Could be a little bit later than that if it slows down a lot. But right now, just expect to be dry by the end of Wednesday. What is the probability that the risk will shift to the east to include Eaton County for what day? If we're talking tomorrow, unlikely. Talking Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, that's still again up in the air there. We're not going to have details on exactly like areas and threats and hazards, stuff like that. We're not going to know that until we get closer. Just keep it in mind that we could see it go either way with this. As Joel mentioned, we have like a few ingredients there to support severe weather, but we also are lacking a few other ones. Especially with it being overnight, that would kind of also err on the side of less instability being available for this complex to move through. So keep that in mind as well. So we'll kind of have to wait and see how that plays out as we get closer to Tuesday night. What do you mean? What do you mean instant?
Why am I Forrest Gump?
I don't know. I was wondering the exact same thing. I'm trying to figure out.
I could do my Forrest Gump impression. I don't even know if I have one, honestly, off the top of my head. I'm not going to do that.
Isn't June and July derecho season in Michigan? Typically, Matthew, July and August are usually the period we get these patterns that support these complexes like derechos. This pattern is similar in ways, but it's not identical. So, yes, expect that pattern to set up here at some point. A typical summer-like pattern eventually. But this is not going to be a sustained pattern that we're seeing right now to support the complexes.
Yep, we are in MCS season.
And that stands for mesoscale convective complex or convective system.
Mm-hmm. MCC, MCS, kind of the same thing. Yep. Well, they are the same thing, just people call them different.
Lily, be alert tomorrow evening, right around the 8 to 9 p.m. time frame. We may have some storms try to push across the lake that could be strong, perhaps severe. But otherwise, we're not going to know Tuesday just yet. So stay tuned to that forecast. But be alert tomorrow if you're on that 131 corridor from Ludington to Grand Rapids down to Kalamazoo, anywhere near those areas, especially if you're close to the lakeshore, for some storms arriving tomorrow, potentially.
Can we have perfect weather all week next week, please? Mid to low 70s. Again, with the 8 to 14 day outlook being a little bit below average. That's the average run. You could see temperatures only topping in the low 70s next week. But again, that's your average or highest category average right there is about a, what's the blue there, 40 to 60 or something? 40 to 50?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So you also have you still have a 40 to 50% chance that it, or I guess you should say 60 to 50% chance that it might not be below. It could be near normal. So I would expect a few mid 70 to high 70 degree days still to sneak in next week, but pretty decent summer weather, I would say, upcoming for the next at least 8 to 14 days.
It has felt like a month, Julie. It's been a while, it feels like. After streaming, 32 times for May, taking like a week or so off, it just kind of feels like it's been forever. Do you know how often derechos occur in Michigan?
I believe it's one every 2 years or one every year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, it's about that. I was going to say the exact same thing. Averages out. We're getting to that point in the season where the corn is going to start actually helping moisture in the atmosphere. That's actually a thing. We can actually have dew points, moisture quality, rise, I guess, to be the proper term, as corn is promoting moisture in the atmosphere. I don't know, evapotranspiration, I think is what it's called, or something like that.
We have a nice example of a lake breeze out there today.
Do we?
Yeah.
I had Omega open, and now I don't.
Here, I can pull up GR2.
Go for it.
There you go. Lake breeze. That time of the year.
Lake breezes, for those of you who don't know what lake breezes are, basically just winds coming off of the lake. They can sometimes spark showers and storms on days we have a lot of instability available and so on and so forth. We can get these pulse type of storms that go up, dump a lot of rain, some lightning, and then go back down.
Yep. And Central Michigan University is doing a month-long project here upcoming in July on the studies of lake breezes. So really interesting. Not only Central, actually, it's a bunch of other universities around the nation actually coming together to do this big study on lake breezes, and it'll be really cool to see what the results are from that. They're basically, I think they're driving from like Holland to Lansing every day and just sampling the atmosphere as they go down the road. So should be really cool.
I'm very curious if they're going to find anything interesting with that study.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of questions in the chat here. Go back up here. What is the worst day this week for storms? I mean, really don't know at this point. It could be Tuesday night or it could be tomorrow night for all we know. So just watch both days if you are in the west side of Michigan for tomorrow. And then all of Michigan should be at least paying attention. Just, keep an eye on the forecast for Tuesday night. It could end up being nothing for Tuesday night and also tomorrow night as well, but it also could end up being something. So it's just in that phase of wait and see at this point. All right, let's see other questions here. We are kind of due for one. I'm assuming you're meaning derecho. When's the last derecho we had? Do you know, Joel? It's been a few years. Feels like it's been a few years.
Off the top of my head, I remember 2020, the moderate risk stay on the east side of the state.
Say that, yeah.
But I don't know if there's any been. I mean, I think there has been one between that. I just can't remember the date off the top of my head.
But yeah, we are due, considering that we've only had one or two in the past about 4 years or so. So yeah, we're due for it.
Mm-hmm. 1980 or 1998 was the last big one we had. Yes, 2022 I think was the Iowa one.
Yep.
Or 21. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22, but we had the remnants of it kind of ended in southwest Michigan.
Here's a good question, Joel.
Yeah.
How is AI going to change our jobs?
AI has a long way to go before they replace meteorologists. I don't even think it would replace meteorologists because, again, in the meteorology world, it's one of the only jobs that's predicting like the future, and you can't really the future is always going to be changing, depending on certain mesoscale factors. So even especially in a state like Michigan, where you have the lake breezes and stuff, it's going to take at least probably after our lifetimes to be even perfected or anywhere near perfected here in the state. So I don't plan on AI replacing anything weather related anytime soon, at least off the top of my head.
And also the fact AI can't go out and chase tornadoes and be the eyes on the storms. So
that's true. Yeah, you want an AI powered car out there just driving around. That's better if we just do it. Sorry, guys, I'm just munching over here. Oh, making things more helpful. I could see it in the model generating department for sure.
Models are not meteorologists, though.
Right. So it's kind of already being implemented, I guess you could say.
CSU learning model, for example.
Right.
It does a good job at pinpointing areas, but can it pinpoint where tornadoes are going to happen, where the best environment's going to be on a huge, mesoscale local basis? No, it can't do that yet.
Just remember, we don't have weather models, anything weather related, any patterns or anything without balloon launches. So no matter what, until the end of time, we're always going to be launching 2 weather balloons a day for the rest of until the sun explodes and whatever. So we'll always have weather balloon launches, and that's the only way we can get data of the atmosphere, along with airplanes now have drop-ons or AWIPs or whatever it's called up in airplanes. When they take off, they can also shoot down. So either way, you won't be able to have observations or future predictions without human interaction in any way, whether that's weather balloon launches or airplanes.
What is with the cooler than average temperatures from the CPC? It's just that time of year at this point. I mean, it's nothing abnormal here. La Nina would support. So actually, I knew I was going to get asked, or knew we were going to get asked a question regarding temperatures. And I've seen a lot of comments I want to address on the page today. If you guys are watching, one of the people who've commented, well, it's just La Nina being cooler. Pump your brakes for a second. La Nina, typically speaking, I had the graphic up here. I guess I don't anymore. La Nina, though, trends Michigan to be warm and wet. So La Nina means cooler sea surface temperatures, but that means that our typically historic pattern is on the warmer side of average and the wetter side of average. So just because the sea surface temperatures are cooler does not mean that our temperatures are cooler. So obviously we're going to have some fluctuations in the jet stream and the overall pattern no matter what um, Enzo cycle we're in. But the cooler temperatures here are likely not attributed to La Nina or El Nino. Just wanted to address that real quick. So
And another thing with storm development early, that's kind of off topic a little bit, but again, we kind of mentioned this in the last couple of streams with kind of like the busts we've been having with like severe weather not making it here. That's because the lake is still kind of cold this time of the year, and that cold lake temperature acts as a stable layer, and we usually see that on SKUT charts, which we don't usually share on our streams because they're a little complicated. But just take it like as like it's a line shooting off one direction. That means it's stable, because we call it an inversion. And when you have that surface inversion, nothing can get up, nothing can rise, no updrafts can rise above that, or it just like it gets really hindered either way. So Lake Michigan this time of year, cold, stable layer at the surface. So you only get like elevated storms if they can make it across. But once we get into summer, late summer, especially if we have a warm summer, we'll have the lakes warmer a lot later in the year. So we'll have that warm water probably up until October, even November. That could potentially, not saying it will, produce maybe some stronger storms late fall like we have seen lately, and even some potentially heavier lake effect snow events come November.
someone told me that it won't be warm until August. I mean, technically it's warm outside now. Like, what's your definition of warm? We're talking like
everyone's
90s
definition is different.
They said no pool weather in Michigan until early August. I know a lot of people have their pools open now.
Uh-huh.
So I guess define what you mean by warm. We've already had 80s and 90s, J-Man. We already touched 90 in Michigan this year. So, I mean, meteorological summer started yesterday. So technically, I mean, we're in it. We're going to have 80s tomorrow, potentially upper 80s for southern Michigan on Tuesday. So we're already there. Why does tornado season slow down in the summer and ramp back up during the fall? Go ahead, Joel.
And obviously everything is fueled by how much solar radiation we get. So obviously during the summer, you get 24 hours of daylight up at the poles. That's a lot of warm air that we would usually see as cold air happening during the wintertime. And so when you have northwest flow midsummer, late summer, when it's been 3 consecutive months of warm weather up there, you're not getting the lapse rates necessarily that would produce like bigger storms per se, especially for damaging winds, hail, stuff like that. So once we get back into fall, all of a sudden that 24 hours of daylight becomes kind of average, and then it eventually becomes 0 hours of daylight. So you get that cold air coming back in, and bada boom, bada bing, you got the lapse rates returning. So we kind of have that still right now. It's still kind of cold up there in the north. But that will eventually switch here in the next probably couple weeks. I think some locations are already seeing 24 hours of daylight.
Did you guys enjoy the parade? Yes, we did. We had a lot of fun up there in Jenison. My grandkids just got out of the pool. It's not a bad day for it. We got a 73 degrees here. Not bad at all. Historically speaking, J-Man, the summertime for La Nina is going to be warmer than average. If you look at the 3-month chart off of the CPC, the 1 month even, we're going to see Michigan is going to be in the contour for both months here in the probability of above average temperatures here for the 1 month, but also looking at the 3-month here for the summertime as well. Looking at the overall temperature being, the probability of it being warmer than average is higher than it being cooler than average. So. All right, any more questions, guys? We've been on here about a half hour or so. How does Saturday the 8th look? As far as I can tell for right now, on the drier side, probably good temperatures as well. Upper 70s looking like for right now. Being 6 days away, things can change, so take with a grain of salt. But right now, I'm going to probably say leaning drier with pleasant temperatures. Yes, Iron, I did. I did get a new chair.
Why aren't gusty winds talked about more during storms? Typically, they are. It just depends on what the highlighted risk is for that day, because usually it can be overshadowed by the damaging hail or the tornado threat. But believe us, we do have our derecho potential coming later this year that will eventually highlight, and then damaging thunderstorms can also just non-derecho, just happens. So it's just tornadoes are always thought of as like the more destructive thing, but damaging winds are longer and cover more area, so they should be, like you make a good point, they should be covered more. I know we cover them more, but I don't know about other places.
And also keep in mind as well that we really can't predict when derechos are going to happen, because much like tornadoes, derechos are labeled derechos after the event happens because they have to meet a certain criteria. Mm-hmm. So much like we can't say, oh, that tornado was an EF2, we can't say that until it's surveyed. Derechos are kind of similar. We have to wait for that criteria to be met, and then at that point it can be labeled derecho. So we can tell you overall pattern. Yeah, okay, we can have a derecho or two. Sure. Are we going to know exactly when and where? Nope. Micro and macro bursts. Those happen a lot, more often than you think. On a localized scale here in Michigan, they do happen. But the derechos, MCS complexes, stuff like that happens on a widespread scale. That's why they're talked about a lot more than, microbursts or macrobursts. A derecho is essentially a long line of storms that extends, or doesn't have to extend a certain length, but it has to travel more than 240 miles and carry winds over severe limits for the entirety of its length. That is a derecho.
Yep.
So if you guys remember back on August 24th of last year, we had that big windstorm come through the southern part of the state. That would be kind of like a derecho if it traveled for a longer period of time. So say it started in Wisconsin, traveled across Michigan to Ohio. At that point, that could be a derecho. But because it happened in Michigan and fizzled out in Northwest Ohio, it didn't go 240 miles. Therefore, it wasn't a derecho. Did they change derecho requirements? I don't think they did, Jess.
I'm checking.
I don't think they did. Yeah, I figured. I knew you were going to be typing something. I figured you were checking on that.
The National Air Service website says 240, wind gusts of at least 58, but they recently changed 58 to 60 on severe thunderstorm warnings. So
did they?
It could be the old one. It could be 400. Let me see if I can find an updated link. Oh, it's 400 kilometers. That's why.
That makes more sense.
And 58 mile per hour winds, even though severe is now considered 60. I mean, it's 2 mile per hour difference either way.
I see Julie commented that she misses a squeaky chair already. Julie, are you still here by chance? Let's see if I can make up for that. I don't know if you can hear this or not.
I will say really quickly a comment about back on the how we don't know until afterward. Another thing with that is science has always been changing. As you know, over the past couple of years, we've learned a lot of things. A lot of experiments have been done. That's why the enhanced Fujita scale used to be the normal Fujita or whatever scale. And so the winds changed with that because we learned more things, but now it's, the enhanced Fujita scale. So again with the Mitten CI thing and all these other things are happening.
Matthew, not that I would know of. Internal, maybe. but it's never going to be public.
What are you saying? Can you hear me?
And yeah, it has happened a few times as well. Well, what do you think, Joel? I'm about to hop off here. Whoops.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me or no? Ryan's the only one that can't hear me. He just like interrupted me when I was talking about the storm stuff. So I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah. I can hear you, Ryan. I don't know if you can hear me.
I couldn't. I can now.
I was rambling about how the F scale has changed to the EF scale, and all of a sudden he just like interrupted me. I'm like, what?
Sorry, I did not know. I did not know, man.
Anyway, I was talking about how science has made improvements, and we now have the enhanced Fujita scale, and that's kind of just the TLDR of it. New headphones incoming for Ryan.
About to upgrade my entire setup here by the time the day is over.
Yeah. But if anyone doesn't have any more questions, and if you're heading out, make sure to drop a like on the way out. We appreciate it. This has been a good briefing so far. We've pretty much covered all the bases here. If there's anything we need to go over one more time, just let us know. New chair isn't enough. Need new headphones now.
It's on my agenda, actually. I don't like the way these sound at all.
Yeah, Derecho would be, you would probably see at least enhanced. That would be 30%, I believe, is enhanced. Off the top of my head, yeah. And then 45 would be moderate, 60% would be high. So we usually see 30 to 45%. So it would be enhanced to moderate for Derechos.
Well, what do you think, Joel?
I'm good.
All right. We're going to wrap this up here. I'll go over everything in brief one more time here. So for tomorrow, we do have a severe risk off to our south and west, off to our west, really. Does branch into Berrien County here. And that's going to be for the time frame roughly 7, 8, 9 p.m. ish. We're going to watch to the west for some storms that are incoming across Lake Michigan. We're not sure if they're going to hold out and survive all the way across the lake. The expectation right now is that some probably will. The question is, how strong are they going to be when they arrive? That's the main thing to watch. Then as we get into Tuesday night into Wednesday, your second time frame to watch is going to be off to the west here. Off in Minnesota and Wisconsin, we're going to have a squall line develop here. It may push our way as we get into the evening hours on Tuesday into overnight, Tuesday into Wednesday morning. That's your second time frame to watch. Get past Wednesday into Thursday, temperatures cool off a bit, mid to upper 70s statewide likely. And then again, reform up here into the 80s for tomorrow. And then warmest day will be Tuesday, especially in South Michigan, where temperatures may make a run into the upper 80s. With that being said, the last half of the week does look to be dry for now. We may see a chance of a shower passing on one of those days, but right now our confidence is not very high to say which or if at all. So if you guys have plans for upcoming weekend, just stay tuned to the forecast. Right now it does look dry, but that could always also change as well. So with that being said, that's all I got to share with you guys. Joel, you got anything else?
I'm all set over here.
All right. With that being said, we're going to hop off here. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful evening. You guys have a nice week as well. We'll be down here again probably tomorrow morning or afternoon to discuss potential for tomorrow evening, and then also again for Tuesday if anything develops on that time period as well.
I was about to ask that when we're going live next, because I know the crowds are wondering.
Yep. So if there's any risk in Michigan from the SPC, or we think there's going to be a risk developing, we're going to go live probably sometime around noon or before noon tomorrow. And then, of course, there's severe weather. We'll be live here either way. So, but we'll have a briefing if we expect it to happen tomorrow evening. All right. You guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday evening. Thanks, guys, for watching. See you guys later.
See everyone.